Have you ever noticed something very interesting? The more you grow in life, the fewer people you explain yourself to, not because you become rude, not because you become arrogant, but because you finally understand one powerful truth. Everyone does not need to know everything about you. In today's world, people share their food before they eat it, their plans before they start them, and their problems before they understand them. And then they wonder why there is confusion, negativity, and stress in life. Smart people don't live like that. They live with boundaries. Let me start with a simple thought. As we grow in life, something quietly changes inside us. We don't become louder, we become calmer. We don't explain more, we explain less. And not because we don't care, but because we finally understand that peace is more valuable than proving a point. In today's world, everyone is sharing everything: thoughts, plans, emotions, struggles, as if life is a live broadcast. But wisdom teaches us something very different. Not everything that is true needs to be told, and not everyone needs to know your truth. There are certain things in life that grow best in silence. Your future plans are one of them. The moment you announce your plans too early, you invite unnecessary noise into your life. Opinions you never asked for, doubts you never had, fears that were never yours. Some people will discourage you, some will compare you, and some will smile on the outside but question you on the inside. It's not always jealousy. Often it's their own limitations speaking. A seed doesn't grow faster because people keep digging it up to check. It grows because it is left alone, protected, and nurtured quietly. Work in silence and let your results introduce you. Another thing wise people are careful about is sharing their weaknesses. Being open is beautiful, but being careless is dangerous. Vulnerability is powerful only when it is shared with the right hearts. When you open up to people who lack emotional maturity, your pain becomes gossip and your struggle becomes a story. Not everyone who listens understands, and not everyone who understands truly cares. Choose a few, not many. Sometimes the safest place to heal is within yourself, with patience, reflection, and time. And then there is something even more important: never advertise how much you can tolerate. The moment people realize that you will always adjust, always forgive, always stay quiet, they begin to test your limits, not intentionally, but gradually. Respect often doesn't disappear suddenly. It fades slowly when boundaries are missing. Strong people don't need to shout about their limits. They simply live by them. They step back when needed. They say no without guilt, and they walk away without drama. Silence, when backed by self-respect, is extremely powerful. Boundaries are often misunderstood. People think boundaries push others away, but in reality, they protect what matters most: your energy, your clarity, and your inner peace. A boundary is not a wall built with anger. It is a line drawn with wisdom. It teaches others how to treat you without you having to explain it again and again. So remember this: privacy is not hiding, silence is not weakness, and boundaries are not selfishness. They are signs that you value your life, your growth, and your peace. Share less, observe more, and trust yourself deeply. When you do that, life becomes lighter, relationships become healthier, and your mind becomes a calmer place to live in. There is a beautiful shift that happens when a person starts becoming wise. They stop trying to be understood by everyone, not because they have given up on people, but because they have understood themselves. In the early stages of life, we feel that sharing everything will make us lighter. We believe that if people know our story, they will support us, encourage us, and stand by us. Sometimes they do, but many times they don't, and that is when learning begins. One of the biggest lessons life teaches is about timing, especially when it comes to sharing our plans. A plan spoken too early often attracts noise before it attracts progress. People bring their fears, their past failures, and their doubts into your future. Suddenly, what felt exciting starts feeling heavy. Smart people quietly work on their goals. They let discipline replace announcements and action replace explanation. When the work is done, there is no need to convince anyone. Results speak in a language everyone understands. Another area where wisdom shows itself is in emotional sharing. We often think that telling everyone about our struggles will heal us. But healing does not come from talking to many. It comes from talking to the right ones. Not everyone has the capacity to hold your pain. Some people listen with curiosity, not compassion. Some store your words, not to support you, but to recall them later when it suits them. This is not about mistrusting the world. It is about understanding it. Emotional intelligence means knowing where to open up and where to stay silent. Then comes a very subtle but powerful truth: never let people measure how much you can endure. When kindness is unlimited and boundaries are invisible, it is often misunderstood as permission. People slowly begin to take you for granted. They cross lines not because they want to hurt you, but because they never learned where the line was. Wise people don't argue to be respected. They behave in ways that set standards. When something feels wrong, they step back. When something feels disrespectful, they don't justify it. They choose peace over explanation. Many people fear setting boundaries because they think it will damage relationships. But the truth is, boundaries don't destroy healthy relationships, they save them. A relationship without boundaries is like a road without signals. Confusion, accidents, and frustration are inevitable. Boundaries bring clarity. They tell others what is acceptable without turning it into a fight. As you grow, you realize that silence can be a form of self-care. You don't have to react to everything. You don't have to respond to every comment. You don't have to prove your worth repeatedly. When you know who you are and where you are going, you become selective with your words, your energy, and your time. So live a little more privately. Protect your dreams until they are strong enough to stand on their own. Share your struggles only where they will be respected, and never apologize for having limits. When you do this, life becomes calmer, relationships become more balanced, and you begin to experience a quiet confidence that doesn't need validation from the world. As life moves forward, it gently teaches us that not every thought needs a voice, and not every emotion needs an audience. In the beginning, we feel that being open all the time makes us honest and authentic. But slowly, through experience, we learn that wisdom is not about saying everything we know. It is about knowing what to say, when to say it, and to whom. Peace enters our life not when everything is shared, but when sharing becomes conscious. There are certain aspects of our life that need protection, just like a young plant needs a fence. One of them is our vision for the future. When ideas are fresh, they are fragile. They need silence, focus, and effort. When we speak about them too soon, they become exposed to doubt, comparison, and unnecessary advice. Some people will question your ability, others will question your timing. Slowly, their voices start becoming louder than your own inner voice. Wise people allow their work to mature quietly. They trust the process more than the applause. Another thing that requires careful handling is our inner struggle. Everyone has moments of weakness, confusion, and self-doubt. Sharing these moments can bring relief, but only when shared with the right people. When shared with the wrong ones, vulnerability turns into regret. Some people don't have the emotional depth to understand pain. They only have the curiosity to hear about it. They listen not to support, but to satisfy their interest. Intelligence lies in recognizing who offers comfort and who only offers comments. Equally important is understanding how much of yourself you reveal through tolerance. When people see that you always adjust, always compromise, and always stay silent, they may assume that everything is acceptable. Over time, respect slowly erodes, not because people are cruel, but because boundaries were never visible. Strong people don't threaten or complain. They calmly change their distance. They don't make noise, they make choices. And those choices speak very clearly. Boundaries are often misunderstood as coldness or ego. In reality, they are an expression of self-respect. They tell the world that while you are kind, you are not careless with your peace. You can be gentle and firm at the same time. You can be understanding without being available to disrespect. This balance is what brings emotional stability. With maturity, you also learn that silence has its own language. You don't respond to every opinion. You don't correct every misunderstanding. You don't fight every battle. You realize that your energy is limited, and where you invest it matters. Calmness becomes more attractive than chaos. Depth becomes more important than attention, so choose discretion over display. Let your journey unfold without constant announcements. Protect your inner world from unnecessary access. And remember, the most confident people don't talk loudly about themselves. They live quietly and let their life do the talking. When you learn this, you don't just grow in success, you grow in peace. And that is the real achievement in life. With time, life teaches us a very gentle but powerful lesson. Not everyone who is present in your life needs to be present in your thoughts. In the beginning, we feel that openness is strength and silence is fear. We believe that if we keep explaining ourselves, people will understand us better. But maturity slowly reveals something else. Understanding does not come from how much you speak. It comes from how clearly you live. Many people feel the urge to share their plans the moment an idea enters their mind. It gives excitement, a sense of movement, but wisdom whispers caution. When a plan is young, it needs protection, not publicity. Every opinion you hear becomes an additional weight you have to carry. Some people will doubt your ability, others will question your direction, and a few will project their own fears onto your future. Not because they want to harm you, but because they can only see life through their own experiences. Quiet effort creates strong foundations. When the result arrives, explanations become unnecessary. Life also teaches us to be selective with emotional sharing. Being vulnerable is a sign of courage, but only when shared with those who have the capacity to honor it. When shared carelessly, vulnerability turns into exposure. Some people listen without understanding, some remember without empathy, and some use your honesty to define you permanently. Intelligence is not about closing your heart. It is about opening it in the right direction. Healing does not require many voices. It requires the right presence. Another subtle lesson comes from observing how people respond to tolerance. When you continuously adjust, forgive, and stay quiet, people may slowly assume that there are no limits. Respect then begins to fade, not suddenly, but quietly. Wise people understand that boundaries are not announcements, they are actions. You don't need to argue to prove your worth. You simply choose where you stay and where you step back. Silence backed by self-respect often communicates more than long explanations. Boundaries are not meant to isolate you, they are meant to protect you. They protect your time, your emotional energy, and your inner peace. Without boundaries, even good relationships become exhausting. With boundaries, relationships gain clarity and balance. Saying no at the right time often saves you from resentment later. As you grow, you realize that reacting to everything is draining. Not every comment needs a response. Not every misunderstanding needs correction. Not every situation deserves your energy. Calmness becomes your strength. You begin to choose peace over proving a point, understanding over argument, and self-respect over approval. So learn to live a little more quietly. Let your actions speak more than your words. Share less, observe more, and trust your inner guidance. Protect your dreams until they are strong, your emotions until they are safe, and your peace at all costs. When you do this, life becomes simpler, relationships become healthier, and you move forward with a calm confidence that does not depend on the world's validation. As life unfolds, it gently teaches us that wisdom is less about collecting information and more about learning restraint. In our early years, we feel an urge to share everything: our excitement, our fears, our plans, our disappointments. We believe that openness will bring support and understanding. But with experience, we realize that not every space is safe and not every listener is sincere. Maturity is not becoming silent, it is becoming selective. One of the first lessons wisdom teaches is about guarding your dreams. When an idea is new, it is delicate. It needs focus, discipline, and patience. When shared too early, it becomes vulnerable to unnecessary opinions. People don't always respond to your plans with encouragement. They often respond with their own fears. Slowly, their doubts begin to influence your confidence. Intelligent people work quietly. They allow consistency to replace announcements. They understand that success does not need early validation. It needs steady effort. Another important lesson is about emotional sharing. Everyone carries struggles, insecurities, and moments of weakness. Talking about them can be healing, but only in the right environment. Not everyone who listens is equipped to understand your pain. Some people listen out of curiosity, not compassion. Others remember your vulnerable moments longer than your strengths. Wisdom lies in knowing that privacy is not isolation, it is protection. Sharing less with many and more with a few brings emotional balance. Then there is the lesson of tolerance. When you are kind, patient, and forgiving, people may slowly assume that you will always adjust. Over time, this assumption can turn into entitlement. Respect fades when boundaries are unclear. Strong people don't raise their voice to demand respect. They calmly set limits through their actions. They step back when something feels wrong and move forward when something feels right. This quiet firmness builds dignity. Boundaries are often misunderstood as distance or coldness, but in truth, they are an expression of self-respect. They allow relationships to breathe. Without boundaries, even love becomes overwhelming. With boundaries, relationships remain healthy and balanced. Saying no is not rejection, it is clarity, and clarity prevents resentment. As awareness grows, you also learn the value of silence. You don't respond to every opinion or justify every choice. You accept that not everyone will understand you, and that is okay. Peace comes when you stop seeking approval and start trusting your inner compass. You realize that your energy is limited, and protecting it is essential. So choose a quieter path. Let your progress speak instead of your promises. Protect your inner world from unnecessary access. Share your heart where it will be respected, not consumed. When you live with this awareness, life becomes calmer, decisions become clearer, and confidence grows naturally. This quiet strength, rooted in self-respect and wisdom, becomes your greatest asset as you move forward. Remember this: privacy is not secrecy, silence is not weakness, boundaries are not selfishness. They are signs of self-awareness. The more you respect yourself, the less you feel the need to explain yourself. So protect your plans, guard your weaknesses, respect your limits, because smart people don't share everything, they share wisely. Thank you, and may your life be peaceful, purposeful, and powerful.